Hey guys, hi, welcome back once again. My name is Vaishali and today I'd like to talk about taking a break. Now many a times we all desire to take a break from our routines, to take a break from our work, to take a break from our familiar situations. So why do we desire to take a break from everything that we have been habituated to? From everything that is routinely established, from everything that is more or less predictable, from everything that is familiar. Routines, in my understanding, are not built over a night. The routines that enable us predict our future, short-term or long-term, are curated and developed over habits that have been built over time, with consistent efforts and practices, so that it then builds a certain kind of a familiarity which then becomes more or less predictable. So then if so much of our time, of our energy, of our inclination is invested to forming a habit that then becomes a habitat that can then be predictable, which we can then get familiarized and acclimatized to, why then do we desire a break, almost an escape from our own habituated, routined, familiarized existence that we ourselves have created and co-created? Because in my understanding, there's a part of us that thrives in curiosity, that thrives in exploration, that comes alive in the unfamiliar, that comes alive in the unexplored, that feels vibrant when it's curious. So let's understand the existence of both of these paradoxes within most of us. There's a part of us that likes familiarity, that likes routines, that likes habituated ways of doing things, that likes predictability. And that part of us essentially works through our subconscious, through our unconscious as well. Our subconscious and our unconscious mechanisms care less about feeling alive, but care more about staying alive. Our subconscious, our unconscious mechanisms are designed to help us predict the unknown. And that's why most days of our life, we live our lives, we experience our existence through routines and through habituated ways or patterns of behaviors of being. Because unfamiliar zones and uncharted territory to the subconscious and the unconscious part of the brain and the nervous system, that which is unfamiliar can create anxiety. In fact, it's designed to create anxiety to help us stay alive. However, there's a part of us that also wishes to come alive, that also desires to feel alive and not just stay alive. And that part of our brain and our nervous system comes alive when we get curious, when we start to explore things, when we get a little creative, which also calls in for vulnerability. Because that part of our exploratory system fires and wires new neural connections. And when those new neural connections are being informed and being formed, we invariably are becoming a newer person. Exactly like the infant who first does not know how to regulate its own self. It doesn't know how to take care of its own self. It doesn't know how to feed and clean its own self. It doesn't know how to sit or even stand. And yet when it first starts to sit, when it first starts to stand, not without falling down 50,000 times, when it first begins to walk, falling down time and time again, when it first begins to walk taking support, when it first starts to break away from the support, to learn to begin to walk on its own, it is becoming a new person. So in my understanding, when we even talk about welcoming a new year or making any kind of new year resolutions, there's a part of us that wants to express itself differently, that wants to recreate itself differently. There's a part of us that we even wish to discover and uncover that has gotten lost in our routine, habituated existence. There's a part of us that's wanting to break away from just staying alive and break through into feeling alive. But unless we take these breaks in more mindful manners, with a little more awareness, we'll keep wanting to take the breaks from our routine lives in order to come back to the same, essentially playing the same chase of the mice and the cat. We'll forever be trying to run away from ourselves only to want to catch ourselves again. We'll forever be wanting to escape our own selves that feels stuck, that feels a little bored, that feels a little stagnant in its own familiar, habituated, routine environments. In the dynamics of those environments that mostly are co-created. Which reminds me of the quote, "Get out of your own way," which to me is indicative of our pull and push mechanisms that exists within all of us. The major chunk of it just wanting to stay alive, to keep working in familiar, habituated ways. Well, there's the other part that wants to explore, that wants to know itself anew, that wants to discover something new about itself, about its own existence. So let's try and become aware of both of these mechanisms operating within all of us. Let's try and embrace both of these mechanisms because they do serve different functionalities. And let's try and become a little more aware when we say that I want a break, when we say I need a break. What exactly are we seeking the break from? Because many a times a break can be indicative that we are feeling bored, that we are feeling stuck in a situation, which invariably implies that we are not growing the way we desire to, that there is nothing new, that there is no breakthrough through which we are able to experience newness, a freshness within our own selves and with our interactions with the others. It may be indicative that things are beginning to feel a little stale. And unless we truly inquire into that, we'll never know, we'll never understand as to what we actually desire, what we actually want and what we actually need to be even then communicate the same with the others. Let's try and reflect on that a little more, and I will see you once again the next week. Till then, stay tuned in. And guys, if you do like the contents of my videos, please do like, share and subscribe.